Hey, Rex. Well, first thing I need to do is pick new music that is a better fit for just ideation. That's what we need. We need ideation. The voice. The voice is present. Present. February 23rd, racing to the end of February. Man, this is moving fast. Let's get that out of the way. Okay. 2, 2, 3. 2, 2, 3, 2, 6. Technically. All right. Left hand of the book. Left hand page gives us a left hand. Wait, where's my... How am I missing a... Yeah, that was a lucky find. I was missing a D100. Half the D100. That would have been terrible. Oh, 57 Thickest Thieves. We did that this week. Let's try again. 28. 28 is devious and thieving. I feel like we just did thieves. We just did thieves. Let's get something. 42. Yep. You would think with 200 things I wouldn't hit the same one so often. Okay, 32 works. Proudly emblazoned. That's new. Proudly emblazoned. Marked with pride. Distinguish. Some sort of award. Some sort of trophy. Could be a sigil, maybe, or a maker's mark. Could be a ribbon. Prized something or other. Proudly emblazoned. Well, certainly winning something could work. There's pride in that. Could go to that always useful well of legends, stories told of past heroes. You've been working on that TTRPG? Nice. It's awesome. Proudly emblazoned. I think... Hold on. Let me... All right. I'm gonna take us down a road that I don't know where it's gonna take us. But I'm excited and I'm here for it, and it's an idea, so we're gonna chase it down. crowd gathered when the shopkeep hung up a new sign. You still don't know a name. It's around the base of the island. Yeah, names can come. Names can come later. Names are the hardest thing. I wouldn't worry about. Give it a name like new game, and then just go with it for a while. Okay, so the shopkeep hangs up a sign. And it draws a crowd. Something about maybe hiring goblins under what would be the goblin sign for yeah, it'd be like we're in charge. Okay, I got that one. Hold on. That works for me. Crowd gathered when the shopkeep hung up a new sign. Some kind of play off of going out of business, or it could be cursed, go away, or what's up, Constructs? Sorry, we're open. So sorry. Rex the owlbear ate all the items for sale. Persistent meow. Hello. I think. Yeah. Speaking of, there's Crane. There's my persistent meow right there. There he is. He's got something to say. He's never that late for a stream. Crowd gathered when the shopkeep hung up a new sign. We're in charge. Warning curse. What's that like? Not like back after lunch, but like back after apocalypse or something like that, maybe. I don't have a crane command. Do I? No, I don't think I do. Crowd gathered when the shopkeeper hung up a new sign. So we kind of have under new management. Yeah, Crane's pretty great. We have warning cursed. We have back after the apocalypse. He's also sleepy. That's his big thing at night lately. Well, obviously all the time, but especially these night streams lately. He's like, I want to sleep. It's like, great, go sleep. Now accepting customer number. I gotta write stuff down, Crane. You gotta go. Go lay down. Go lay down, dork. I suppose we could write down like the words backwards. That could be interesting. Oh. Buy one, get one. How about no silver allowed? Gibson. Investigation in progress. Don't mind the blood. Ooh. Millen, how's it going? Party name band. That crew is not allowed. Enter at your own risk. We kind of have that with the cursed items warning. How about something about, no adventurers allowed, maybe? No heroes, no party, no weapons allowed, no silver allowed, no weapons allowed. How about property of the king? Whatever the heck that means. How about Anyone find my key? Please return key. So a crowd gathered when the shopkeep hung up a new sign. How about nobody could read it? Beware the void spawn. The void takes us all eventually. So we have we're in charge now. We have warning cursed items. Back after the apocalypse. No silver allowed. Property of the king. Please return my key. No one could read it. Some sort of fire sale, or like, you know, everything must go. What else would what kind of stuff would a shop keep? What's up, Mischief? What's the topic? So using proudly emblazoned, we started with up there, the left-hand table. A crowd gathered when the shopkeep hung up a new sign. I don't know yet what the right-hand side's going to be. We'll figure out part 2. Crowd gathered when the shopkeep hung up a new sign. We kind of have property of the king, like accepting a strange currency could work. Guaranteed to work at least until you get out the door. First, back after the property of the king, no silver. Yeah, I mean, it feels like there should be something about maybe everything must go, or moving out, fire sale. Okay. A crowd gathered and the shopkeep hung up a new sign, and I mean, I have no one could read it, but I'm wondering if hanging up a sign and then somehow that like is a spell, or you know what? It was on fire. We'll figure that out when we use it. How about that? That's a problem for 5 minutes from now, Ryan. Okay, so the crowd gathered. All right, second table. So we have a crowd gathered when the shopkeep hung up a new sign. Says something strange. Surprisingly, or it was surprising, mostly because the shop only sells blank. Crowd gathered when the shopkeep hung up a new sign. We're in charge, spelled poorly. Warning, cursed. Back after the apocalypse. Surprising. Mostly because the shop only sells decorative flowers. I do like rather than handmade pet clothing, pets, some sort of pet, little pet gremlins. Mail in puppets, terrifying. Yes. Passenger tickets, that's a good idea. Creative. Well, passenger is great because it keeps it totally open, right? It could be anything at that point. It could be wagon. It could be something fancier. It could be a flying machine. It could be anything. It could be riding on the back of some monster. Dragon tickets. Crowd gathered when the shopkeep hung up a new sign. No silver allowed. Property of the king. Please return my key. Surprising, mostly because the shop only sells decorative flowers, little pet gremlins, puppets, passenger tickets, secondhand goods, high-end enchanted armor. Secondhand armor. Used armor. Maybe we do some sort of like carpentry, collectible coffee mugs, pithy phrases carved into mugs. I'm not sure that a fantasy world would have much business. It'd have to be a very particular type of location and shop to have, you know, ironic tchotchkes. Oh, sure. Always. Must have. What else? I suppose, yeah, I mean, we are definitely, it's got to be something. Well, there could be something maybe dark, but not threatening. What if it sells, like what's the word for it? Like fortune readings, or like we'll read your future. What if it only sells protective charms? How quaint that would be. That's what you said? Shot glasses shaped like body parts? Did I miss that one? Collectible beer steins. Oh, okay. So I never saw it. My bad. Well, you know what? Well, somehow I just knew. How about grave markers or gravestones? Well, that works too. We could do directions. Could do maps. We could also do books. I like that idea actually. How about like children's books, or like old history or something like that? There's something that's like curious about the types of books without being like hugely important. It's like, hey, that little shop, they just, all that they do there is you know, like fables, folklore, maybe. A shop only sells. Yeah, we'll do. I mean, I was gonna say like fairy tales, but maybe that brings on. Well, you know what? That we could read it that way. That actually works just fine. Fairy tale books. All right. Let's see what we get here. I could see some interesting events transpiring, location, shopkeep, all sorts of stuff could come out of here. Let's roll a few. 6-7. Crowd gathered when the shopkeep hung up a new sign. Please return my key. Surprising, mostly because the shop only sells gravestones. So who would walk off with the key to a gravestone shop? Or what would allow someone making a gravestone? Like this almost feels like, this feels like the type of like really subtle thing that I might put into my game. Not because somebody walked off with the key, but because if they talk to this person that runs this shop, why would the party care? But if they did, they would find out that the reason they've misplaced their key is because the last 24 hours has been wiped from their memory, which is a lot scarier. Where it's like, wait, what did this person see in the last 24 hours? Because wiping a memory out like that is like high-level magic that should concern everybody. But it'd just be like, hey, I can't find my keys. Like, that'd be just a seemingly little curiosity that would then unfold into something bigger, and then who knows why? I mean, who knows? Crowd gathered when the shopkeep hung up a new sign because the sign was on fire. Surprising, mostly because the shop only sells puppets. So, not to say that this particular, I guess would they be like a carpenter, puppet maker? You know, they'd been claiming some really odd nightmares lately and some disturbances in their shop. So when they hung up the going out of business sign, or like, hey, we're closed, which was on fire, which proceeded to overtake, you know, they lit it before they hung it up on the building. Everyone thought they just lost their mind, burning up all their work, until everyone heard the cries, the screams of the puppets from inside the shop, and everybody realized that maybe it would have been giving the old puppet maker too hard a time. Maybe they knew exactly what they were doing. Double fives. Crowd gathered when the shopkeep hung up a new sign. Property of the king. Surprisingly, mostly because the shop only sells used armor. What would possess the king to claim that particular shop? What interest does the king, what interest does the crown have in this little old used armor shop? It has to be because the armor that some of the armor that they have to sell must have come from like the war. And the king, or rather the king's mages, have realized that they can use it to speak to the fallen soldiers, and so they shut it down. They send word ahead that like, hey, this is nothing here could be sold, not realizing that a member of the party had already picked up some armor from there unknowingly, and so now the crown is after them as well, because there's going to be a sixth member of that 5-person party when the armor starts to speak out. Millens, cool exercise. Thanks. I think so too. We've definitely found some fun ideas doing this. Crowd gathered when the shopkeep hung up a new sign. No silver allowed inside. Surprising, mostly because the shop only sells fairy tale books. There are so many ways in on this one, because obviously you could just have like the shopkeep is harboring, but specifically tying it into those books. It seems like, I mean, maybe specifically because it's not silver weapons, it's just silver. So perhaps there are, there's a particular book, a particular story that for whatever reason silver sort of attracts kind of these little monsters, and they've been terrorizing the shop. And maybe there are other things that attract them too, but like one of these books is sort of, call it cursed, or it's sort of active. Don't feed the book after midnight. That's what I'm saying. The shopkeep is a conspiracy theorist. Yeah, it's unrelated to the books at all. 3 and a 6. 3 and a 6. A crowd gathered when the shopkeep hung up a new sign that read, "Be back after the apocalypse." Surprising, mostly because the shop only sells protective charms. I mean, is this person, so two ways we could take this. One is that this person is a selfless hero that is taking what they know to wherever the center of this apocalypse is going to be to do what they can to stop it, or two, exactly the opposite, and they've been a sham the whole way. They have no protective charm magic to offer, and they're hightailing it out of there. Either way, I think could work. If you saw a magic shop telling me about the apocalypse, I'm buying every protective charm. Could be a really good sales tactic. You're right. Just really clever capitalism. Crowd gathered when the shopkeep hung up a new sign, warning, cursed. Surprising, mostly because the shop only sells little adorable pet gremlins. Well, yeah, I mean, this definitely feels like, I mean, it's funny that it's gremlins because literally there are, you could argue that those are cursed pets. You know, buyer beware, I guess. These things are going to keep growing. They like silver. There could be some sort of curse where all the shopkeep can do is put up a warning because, like, verbally they can't bring themselves, that they're not allowed to describe the curse. I mean, who would buy any of these things? But then the party sees somebody backing up a wagon to buy out all of them, and now they might have to step in. Now they might have to get involved. If they don't buy the cursed creatures, somebody else will. 1714. That's what we're looking at. 1714. 1 and 7. Or rather, 7 and 1. Crowd gathered when the shopkeep hung up a new sign that said, well, nobody could read it. Surprising, mostly because the shop only sells decorative flowers. They came for the flower shopkeep, and I said nothing. I mean, how interesting if some sort of eldritch horror was to set in on the shop, on the florist first, because the florist picked the certain flowers or went down a certain path, or maybe something was growing somewhere or even growing with the flowers. Get out of here, Green. Get out of here. So obviously, the florist is at risk first. And let's see, the last two. Crowd gathered when the shopkeep hung up a new sign. We're in charge now. Probably written by goblins. Surprising, mostly because the shop only sells passenger tickets. So what sort of ride, what sort of tickets would the goblins want to take control over? Trying to think of a story where goblins are actually going to care about. This feels like something that, like, the goblins are doing somebody's dirty work, like to give some bandits or some thieves some deniability. Like, they hire goblins to go in and commandeer, take over this simple little wagon stand, because the real schemers can't have anybody trudging through the Eastern Valley, and so this prevents most people from doing so. I could see something like that. we go. Squeezing one in on a Monday. Pretty good record for the year. Happy with that. That's true. It could be tickets to some sort of tournament. Get out of here, dude. Get out. Go. He's got such an attitude. Yeah, right. Got one in the books. So I am going to... Well, first of all, thanks for all the great ideas. New names. Don't mind Crane changing my camera. This is him protesting me, telling him no. He's literally... I've got a pedal. He literally stands on it. Shuffle it around. Yeah, thanks for hanging out, Persistent Meow. Millen, good to see you. I do this every day. Try to do it in the morning, but I squeeze it in other times a day if the morning doesn't work out. I'm going to keep streaming. This stream will switch over. I'm going to start doing some crafting. I'm going to paint. This tower here to my left is finally ready for paint. So I'm going to work on that. You guys are welcome to hang out. Otherwise, I'll stream again tomorrow. With or without Crane. We'll find out. All right. Thank you. And we will see you guys in, I don't know, 90 seconds? I bet it takes me 90 seconds to switch over.